Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. From the Popcorn Talk Network and producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and Phil Svitek, this is iTalk Movies. Long-form interviews with leading members of the film industry. And now, your host of iTalk Movies.
Welcome, everybody, to iTalk Movies. There we are. Welcome, everybody, to iTalk Movies. I am Cameron Lewis. Very special show for you this evening. First, if anybody can guess the song that's playing right now,
we'd like to know.
You win something.
We'd like to know who it is.
You win something. Joining me, the very special Ben Begley, Renee Dorian.
Hi, thanks for having us,
Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking about the Funhouse Massacre. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Tweet us at The Only Camshaft, at The Popcorn Talk. So I'm excited to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
I'm a bit on edge.
Why are you on
about
edge?
the film?
Are you not a horror film fan?
I love horror films, but I just went to haunted houses like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Did you read that article?
The fake article.
There was a hoax article that came out that said that someone was murdered
It
in
was
a funhouse
very-
in Texas.
it was very
and
graphically
we were in
detailed.
line at a funhouse up in Reign of Terror. Sorry, I totally
Oh my
interrupted
God.
you already.
The story was so graphically written. They were like, we went through and we saw a guy getting his tendons gnawed out, and then we realized it was real. And I had a conceal and carry, so I shot him in the leg.
We're reading this while we're in line.
We
and we're
totally
like,
went.
Oh my God.
Everyone I know believed it was real, and then the next day it came out that it was a Halloween prank,
Yes.
and we were all like,
So,
That's not funny.
No, it's
not
not.
when we're in line for a haunted house. We're
No.
like,
After making a movie kind of exactly like that.
I went to the Universal Studios, the Halloween Horror Nights thing, and I'm literally going there with a friend. We go to 6 haunted houses there. They have them all, whatever.
Right.
We're waiting in line for the Walking Dead one.
Yep.
And there's the people with the fake chainsaws coming around and
Terminus.
stuff. And we're sitting there, and my friend goes, "Well, what if a crazy person who actually wanted to harm people got a job at Universal Studios?"
Yeah.
And just decided to go nuts.
Because I don't know what the background check is for that.
I'm
And
sure with Universal they have to do.
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't say it's probably
Sure.
super easy.
I mean, but they don't do that great of a background check on like people who are in high government positions sometimes, let alone Universal
That's
Studios
true.
where they have a chainsaw. But Renee
we
and
actually
I
had that same question when we were at Hollywood Horror Nights, because there's, especially at Universal, it's like they go all out.
Yep.
And if you haven't been to that, like, go spend your money. It's totally worth it.
It's massive.
That's where the idea came from
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. We were walking through a maze and some guy was getting sawed on and there were like guts were hanging out and he was screaming and something sprayed on us and it was just water, but we were like, what if this is real and he's really being murdered? And we're like, haha, that's hilarious. And then we're like,
Oh my
brilliant
God!
idea, let's write that.
That's
And so that was
fascinating.
where it kind of snowballed from there.
And then we also wanted to add how in this day and age, everyone is just glued. I mean, look, we all have our cell phones right now on our table.
Just in case.
In case we need it.
In case they call.
In case that person calls us.
in case the Days of Our
Is it
Lives
there?
after show
You know,
woman
like
calls.
crazy things happen nowadays, and you're walking down the street, and someone could be getting robbed, and you're like, "Oh man, what are you having for lunch?" Okay, I could probably pick
We're
that
all
up for
looking
lunch.
through our
And you
3-inch
don't even
screen.
notice that someone's getting robbed right next to
Right.
you.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we need to add that element into being in a horror house.
There's like
because
moments
that's
where
what would happen.
There's like moments where a guy gets hit with a wrench in the back of the head and is bleeding out, and the girl's like, I'm totally Instagramming this, and they do a selfie with him, and somebody else later is vining. You know, we didn't want it to be super like hitting you over the head, but they do it occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one character named Brian the Texter, who I don't want to ruin anything about him.
We
but
have to give my sister and my
I think I went to
brother-in-law-
high school with Brian.
Brian the
Texter.
Texter. He pops. If you
He
look for him,
pops.
there's a guy named Brian the Texter that would never name him, but he's a dude that pops up throughout the movie texting in the craziest moments.
My sister and my brother-in-law gave us that idea after we had written the script. They were like, well, because we were telling them how...
Don't give away the ending.
Okay, I'm not going to. But they were telling us, like, well, you guys should just have, like, you have this kind of throughout the whole script, but you should have one specific person that never looks up. That's constantly on the front. Because there is always that person that you are like, hey, we're at dinner.
Yeah.
Get the fuck off your phone. Sorry,
Whoa.
that's
Are we
smart.
allowed
It's
to
cool.
swear? I
Yeah,
can't
whatever.
remember.
I don't.
But so we added Brian
Leave
the
it to my wife to
Texter.
swear first. The Italian.
Sorry.
Now that the
Italian
gates are
fire.
open,
Sorry.
it's gonna go
Let's
insane
all
in
just
here.
say it, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh
so
my God.
he walks around the entire film, and we won't give anything away, but
He's a
it's
fun-
a really
it's
fun
a fun
character
Easter
because I
egg.
feel like you'll notice him the first time in the movie, but it may be the second time you see the movie that you're like,
You'll see-
oh, this guy is actually a character and not just a background
Yeah.
actor. He's specific to the film.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Brian the Texter.
Right?
stuff,
We
little
want to. Oh, I'm not gonna say anything.
Do you
I
guys
just almost said
know?
something.
For everybody at home, we're gonna play a teaser in just a second. But
Yes.
first, I have to ask another question about Brian the Texter. Did you guys know a Brian that you based this character off of, or was
Actually,
it just the
no.
idea of
It was.
people?
We needed a name. We had a lot of names used because we have a lot of characters
Yeah,
in this
we
film.
wanted him to be Dave because Dave was
Dave.
our brother-in-law that gave us the idea. But then
We already had a Dave.
we had a Dave with Bob and Dave for the
the hosts.
DJs, the
Yeah.
radio DJs. So we were like,
We're like, okay, what name
Brian?
Maybe was it because of your brother-in-law? Did we switch brother-in-laws?
Sure,
and
let's
say,
do that.
I don't know.
Let's say that.
We'll give him. It was for Brian.
That sounds
our
like a
brother-
fascinating
the other brother-in-law.
We'll take it.
Yeah,
We'll take it, yeah.
No
He's
specific.
at home going, "It was me! Oh my god!"
That's so great.
Yeah, we totally thought
Yeah,
of
that was
you.
it. That was it.
All right, everybody, why don't we go ahead and play a quick teaser for you? This is from the Funhouse Massacre. Take a look.
People are literally losing their heads to get in here tonight.
That looks so real.
Do you know what's happening out there?
You mean the deranged serial killers who are pretending to be haunted house characters and killing everybody? There was so much more blood than I expected.
These monsters, even God is afraid of.
You'll never play the test your strength game again
yeah.
after our
No.
movie.
I know.
Not after Mars
Jesus.
has done it.
Yeah.
I love how high energy that is.
It is.
Yeah, the goal when writing it was just to. We set out originally just to write something that we would want to see and that
Yeah.
we thought was fun. We had no idea if it was ever going to go anywhere at the time. We were just like, let's just do something. Let's
Yeah.
because we had done web series before together and short films and a bunch of sketches, and we were like, let's write a feature and just write something and see what happens. And that was always the goal, was just to make kind of this crazy fun ride that's a throwback to our favorite slashers of the 80s and 90s, where it wasn't, because right now horror films are all very focused on ghosts and zombies and kind of like the torture porn stuff like Saw and Hostel, which is
Yeah.
it's kind of died out. But we like all that kind of stuff for different reasons.
Exactly.
But we love, above all,
We
both
love
of
going
us,
to
the
a movie
slasher
and like
movies.
having that with the audience where you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
they just
That's
killed
the
that
best.
person. It's just such an energy.
Yeah,
There's
the
nothing
energy
like
behind
it. And
slasher
you don't get
films.
that when you go into The Conjuring. You're like, holy shit, I'm
Yeah, no, I
terrified
agree.
right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I'm excited for this one, because I want the audience experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's the where you're grossed out at one moment, you're laughing the next, you're cheering the next, you're grossed out again, you're a little freaked out. It's that fun balance that I think Wes Craven really nailed with Scream and the Nightmare on Elm Street series and all that. And I think that that's kind of what we were just trying to make a little homage to our favorite things, and then also adding in a dash of real villains like Manson and Dahmer, but then comic book villains too, because as we've talked about before, real killers get real creepy very quick.
It's not
Yeah.
dinner talk.
Yeah.
And we tried that at lunch, actually. We were like, okay, we need to do some work. Let's start looking up some psychos.
You
And we
start
started-
researching
and
real serial
during
killers.
lunch, it's like the worst idea to do that. It's like, oh God, they're showing pictures. Okay, you know what, let's table this for lunch and then we'll go back to it.
It's all like not. It's all pretty much the
Yeah.
same creepy stuff that
Right.
they do.
It's very, yeah.
Involving dead bodies, and you're like,
Well,
ew,
that's the thing.
Gross.
When I go and see a movie like this, I don't want to go into
Yeah.
the theater and go, "Hey, when I walk out, this might happen to me."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while there's still potential for
There's
this
still
to happen,
potential.
the likelihood of it happening is
And
not
it's-
very high,
Yeah.
which
and
is
you can
comforting.
tell it's
Yes.
very light. I mean, even though it is a horror, it's light in the sense of you're laughing so much that you're not like, oh my God, like
My mom
they're
even
got real
watched it.
with this. You know,
Yeah.
you
Right.
don't have that feeling when you're watching
My
the
mom
film.
even watched it, and she can't do any of that stuff.
I
mean,
know.
one of the most ridiculous / awesome moments for me is Rocco, the way he gets his mask. Spoiler alert, I guess I'll tell you.
Spoiler alert.
He rips off a guy's face with his bare hand, and then he's wearing it the rest of the movie like a leather-faced clown. So that clown mask you see right there in the
This
poster
one.
is another man's
another
face.
man's
That's
face.
another guy's face.
Yeah. The whole movie. And so it's like that level
Do
of...
you see in the movie that he pulls it off
Yeah.
the face?
Yeah.
You see
Of
it
course.
peel off of his face.
Of course.
And then the guy's like holding on to his muscle, gooey
Oh,
Tendons.
yes.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, I was like, did it gross you out? She's like, no, I'm a nurse and I know it doesn't look like that in real life.
Yeah,
I
she's
was
like, I know
okay.
what it really looks like.
How many of these instances have you been in,
Alright.
Mom?
I know. How many faceless men have you
Oh my
seen coming
God.
to the hospital?
That's another
Jesus.
horror film.
Yeah.
Debbie the nurse.
just the ER room.
I would see Debbie the nurse.
Debbie the nurse.
Yeah.
Kinda
But it's that
sounds
kind of
scary.
thing where it's like that kind of level of violence where it's
so far-fetched.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just over the top enough that you're like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
This isn't like
When you're rooting for the bad guy, you don't feel like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like they're touching on things that have happened recently. We didn't want it to feel like
yeah,
that.
it's
Right.
like there's this great horror film we saw, Wolf Creek, but it's
Oh,
and when you
gosh.
watch that, you're uncomfortable the whole time because you're like, this could really happen. This guy
Right.
is sadistic. He's like doing real life things.
We paused it halfway through and we're like,
I almost was
should
like,
we
I
do
can't
this?
do
Can we finish
do
this
it.
movie? Can we? Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, yes,
That's
we
how
can.
I kind of am with. I watched the first episode of the first season of American Horror Story,
Yep.
and I
We
couldn't
watched
watch
a few
anymore.
episodes and it was the same. I was like, oh,
That first season
I know we'd really love it if we really got into it, but it
Yeah.
was hard.
It's
it was really,
it's very hard to watch.
I hear we haven't watched more. We need to because we just
Yeah.
have so many shows we watch. But I hear season 2 and on get really a lot better. The first season for me, it just made me feel uncomfortable
Yeah.
more
Me too.
than like
Yeah.
in a weird psychosexual way instead of creepy. I just
Right.
felt or scary. It just felt like ugh.
I felt like I needed to run somewhere. I don't
Yeah.
know where,
Right.
but
I don't like leaving something feeling like I have to
No.
shower afterwards.
No.
Like I've been
That's
slimed
not,
by
it's
the
not
entertainment.
enjoyable. That is not how our film is. That's not how we wanted it.
No.
We wanted it to be fun.
Yes, yes.
just to say again, everybody at home, you guys wrote the movie together,
Mm-hmm.
and you talked a little bit about where the inspiration came from. But I'm curious, what is the writing process like for a movie like this? Where do you start? Do you start with characters and their relationship to each other, or do you go, hey, this is the situation, here are some of the scenes we want to see, and we'll kind of fill in the rest? What is that like?
I think
We
the
definitely
first
started
thing-
with the villains.
Yeah.
Villains.
Yeah, it
The
was
villains were our main focus because we had 6 villains.
We
so-
did. We had
Yeah.
a lot of villains, and so we were like, okay, so we have these villains. Now, who are the good guys? And I mean, we had a lot.
We should tell the
characters.
villains though. We should describe each one to give people a little tease.
So
There's
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
Dollface.
yeah, you can-
She's kind of the Harley Quinn, and that was the thing is that you don't see a lot of female bad girls,
Yeah.
and so we definitely wanted that in this. And we were like, okay, we've got a lot of guy killers these days. Let's add a female in there that can
Yeah.
be kind of creepy on her own.
And then
So
we
that
have-
was actually our first one.
was our
She was
first
our
one.
first one that we thought of.
And then we always liked this idea of this ex-pro wrestler, kind of like a Jason Voorhees meets Doink the Clown meets Bane from Batman, and that's where Rocco came from. Where it's like this, the legend behind him is that he all these. We should start off by saying all these killers. The premise behind it is that. We always thought, like, it's weird that there's only a couple serial killers a decade or every 30 years. Like, there's only a Dahmer and a Bundy, but there's, like, long stretches of time in between these people.
Yeah.
And so we felt like, what if there's this
even when we
secret
were
cover-up?
looking up,
Yeah,
when we
there's,
were
like,
looking up
decades
people, I'm
in
like,
between.
I have never heard of this crazy
Yeah.
person, or like you never knew about Elizabeth Bathory. If you look up who Elizabeth
bathed
Bathory is,
bathed in her own serpent's
she is
blood.
the creepiest, and she was a queen.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy what she did to people, and so you
We're
start to
making
like,
Cameron
Grossest
so
thing I've ever
uncomfortable.
heard in my life.
Yeah, we're making Cameron
you
because she
start
thought.
to like learn about these people, and
Yeah.
you're like, why didn't you hear about this person in history? This
Yeah.
person's crazy. I mean, that would be bad in history
So,
class, but
back to
it. Sorry.
Yeah,
Renee-
yeah.
I digress. Sorry.
Either way.
So, but the idea was that these serial killers, what if there were these serial killers that go into that are too gruesome,
bad.
too bad to be in the news, and that the government tries to cover up and lock away in this supermax kind of asylum, like an Arkham asylum in the middle of nowhere. And so that's where the idea came from. And Rocco was this wrestling guy who was this underground wrestling legend who had killed one too many opponents in the ring. And in the beginning, he punches a guy, and his jaw flies off, and it lands in a woman's lap in the crowd, and she's screaming. So it's ridiculous stuff like that. But explain maybe the dentist or somebody. We'll keep.
Well, we have Dr. Suave, and he's our dentist, and so
There's a dentist villain.
Oh yeah.
Ted Bundy was
God.
definitely our
Because
inspiration.
he's Sebastian Siegel is a
Is-
perfect man. He
yes.
made me feel terrible about myself.
And we have a great story with him. But when we were thinking about, different
Archetypes.
yes,
Yeah.
and careers though, like what's a creepy career that someone could
Dentist.
have? Dentist.
Oh,
Everyone
definitely.
hates the. I don't
100%.
hate the dentist, but a lot of people
Yeah.
hate the dentist.
Every time
I love the dentist.
Well, it's because they have
too.
these
I like
sharp
it.
objects, and you're in such a vulnerable position where at any moment, if it's like, oh well, we're gonna gas you now and then stab you in the face.
It
It's
is
like-
scary though. Like
Yeah.
when you do, when you're getting gas, you're like, you
Yeah.
kind of have like a fog and you don't know. And I remember really vividly, right before I fell asleep when I got, I think it was my wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
And they're giving me the laughing gas. He was like, oh, that feels good, doesn't it? And I was like, and it's
His voice is like slowly
and then you just go out, it's like, what's gonna happen next? I'm all passed out. I have no idea.
These are the worst people. No offense, dentists, but I mean,
Yeah, they are. It's a creepy thing. So we wanted to really play on how people have that fear, and we were like, okay, let's put a dentist in the movie. That'll be fun.
I think
And
it's brilliant.
his opening scene is there's somebody strapped down and their mouth is like Clockwork Orange open, and he goes, "We'll get rid of that cavity, don't worry." And then he starts drilling with the drill you see in the poster, and it pops through the back of his head, and then he shines the light
And you
through
just
the
see it.
hole. It's ridiculous. I don't want to ruin all the. I don't want to spoil all the villains.
You're not going to
Can
want to
I
go to the
just
dentist
say I'm
after
getting
that.
a filling in like 2 weeks?
Oh no!
Oh, sorry.
and
sorry about
this
that.
is going to happen to me now.
Now you're
Is he
making
a
it
really
worse.
good-looking dentist?
No.
Okay.
He's
Well,
one of
you're
these
fine.
guys. I mean, this is why
You're
it's such a
fine.
perfect villain, because he's one of these guys that, as you're sitting there helpless and he has your mouth strapped open,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
he not only has sharp objects, but he's also secretly making you feel really bad about yourself. It's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to get rid of this cap. Oh, you could
You
probably
have a
lose
lot of
15
plaque-
pounds.
Yeah, you have a lot of plaque buildup.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
Do you floss? You don't
Do you
floss,
floss?
do you?
When's the last time you went on a date?
Smells like a dumpster in here.
Yeah. And you're just sitting there taking it.
You know when you haven't flossed in a while and you're like, oh god.
Oh, my
No,
goodness.
no. Just,
Anyways,
I wouldn't.
that got disgusting.
So we
Delete
have the
that.
dentist.
So we
Yes.
have the
Who else do we
dentist,
have?
yeah.
we have
The chef.
Animal the Cannibal. Jeffrey
good
Ramsey's
name.
was his real name, but he affectionately is called Animal the Cannibal in the No Man's Land, which is what the Supermax prison is based on. Is the
Yeah.
nickname for it that Robert Englund's character
And
gives
he-
it.
he's
Which
known
No
to-
Man's Land was actually a nerd reference for me when Batman got his back broken by Bane, and there was a comic run called No Man's Land where all the villains took over. Until Azazel, I think was the guy's name, the blonde Batman came to power. And anyways,
It was Azrael.
I will take...
Azrael, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Azrael. Thank you, Mark.
I'm like,
So that was
That's what I was going to say. For the
Yeah,
record,
yeah.
that's what I was going
So
to
there's
say.
all these little
Cute.
nerdy DC comic Easter eggs that people either find
That's
or
cool.
make.
Mm-hmm.
But the Animal, the joke with him is that he was a famous chef in New York for a restaurant chain, and he was serving people to people. And Charlton Heston was one of his top clients, although I think that line got cut.
Oh,
yeah.
damn.
Because it was like, it's people. I think it got cut for pacing, but I love that
Soylent
line.
Green is my favorite.
Yeah. And then there's the taxidermist.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna take him?
I mean,
Oh, sure. Okay.
the taxidermist is
Clint
basi-
Howard plays him.
Yeah, I mean,
Clint
for
Howard's
him, it was
awesome.
just, we wanted someone who likes to stuff bodies, because there's always in film, there's always that person, like Psycho.
He was
where
kind of
they
our
keep-
Norman
they keep
Bates
the-
guy.
Yeah, he was our
Yeah.
Norman Bates. So he's keeping bodies, but this time he's stuffing them and putting them into, like he says, the Heisman.
I think I'll put you in the Heisman pose.
Yeah.
Clint Howard's awesome, by the way. He has. I just wish we had him in more of the movie because he's so good.
When you watch him, you just don't want him
He's
to leave the
so-
scene.
the second they
he has
introduce
these
him.
little moments, but he really,
Yeah.
he's really strong.
All the villains, and then Jerry Burns is the leader of the pack.
And he's like our
Leader
Charles.
of
He's
the
like
pack.
he's like our Charles Manson, basically.
Yeah.
Okay,
we had to
yeah.
have that one person who's got this idea.
But he plays it a lot more restrained, which I
Yes,
like. 'cause
absolutely.
We wrote him a little bit more batshit and all over the place, and Jerry Burns brings this great gravitas to it, where like you're watching him and you find him so charming, but you're like, this guy's insane, and he's so good. You buy into every moment of his, and it's great. And then Robert Englund plays the warden of all these.
He's not a bad
psychopaths.
guy.
amazing.
No, he's
Robert Englund is a good guy.
He's a good guy in our movie.
And he's a really nice guy, too.
Super
Freddy
nice.
Krueger is a really nice guy, so he may not invade your dreams. And if he does, he may just come and tell you a good
I
story.
just tell you a lot of stories about good restaurants
Yeah.
to go to in Glendale.
He did tell us that. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Freddy Krueger is talking about Glendale.
He gives you
Right,
great
yes.
restaurant recommendations. He's awesome.
Oh my word! So what do you think then makes a good villain? Is there a checklist for these people?
I think so. I think that it's a combination of like you were saying, real life fears, like
Yeah.
like the dentist or things like that, but also with a hint of a flair behind their personality. So each one has a very distinctive personality.
Well, they're all specifically, like we said, we looked up bad guys to do this. So they
Yeah.
have those
It's like
traits.
a potpourri of
But they also
different bad guys.
For us, like, we love Michael Myers,
Mm-hmm.
when
Yeah.
he's doing the slow walk, and it's like, no, you can never get away. So
Yeah.
we wanted to add that element, so we have that throughout as well.
With Rocco,
Yeah, with
you know,
Rocco.
he's the-
It's like, it doesn't matter how fast you run, they're still gonna come and get you.
Yeah, and I think it's just about having these characters that are really colorful and fun to watch, and not just one note that they have. It's for
There's
me, it's-
reasons behind
Yeah, and for me, it's the Freddy
their insanity.
Krueger archetype, where it's like with Freddy Krueger, you watched him and you're so entertained by him and so scared by him, and I think that's what makes a good villain when you're rooting for them in some kind of sick way.
Yeah.
But at the same time going, I hope they win, but I also hope they get killed really gruesomely.
Yeah.
You know, it's just to have fun with them, to make them really fun and layered and not just throwaways.
Which I think makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you just specifically hate a person, then that's not enough.
No.
Because there's no difference just watching the news or something at that
Right,
point.
exactly.
Or reading
That's pretty
the
depressing.
papers or whatever.
Exactly.
That's interesting. I'm curious now how, in the movie making process these days, it's 2015, there's a million ways to distribute a film.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you set yourselves apart? How do you maintain the relevancy? How is this done? I'm very curious because
You mean how did we
many...
get it sold and made?
Well, how
or-
do you get it sold? Yeah,
Yeah.
but how do you sit among with the rest? You know what I mean?
That's what we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
No, but-
Well, to get the movie made was very serendipitous.
Yeah.
It was very one of those
Yeah.
like. Ben and I were like, we have to get it done. We have to finish the script. We've got to get it ready. We just got to get it out there.
We had a rough draft before we got married.
And then we got
And
married.
then we had a rough draft in May of last year. Draft 1 was finished in May, like May 15th. And then my
Leading
bachelor
up,
party,
yeah.
her bachelorette party,
Bridal
all this planning, and then we got
showers,
married in
all the-
August.
Right.
And our lives were
And
crazy.
then September was our honeymoon. And so on our honeymoon, we were like, we need to finish this. We need to be done with
So
this.
we were like, we got to
Yeah.
send it out for Halloween.
Yeah.
And we got back, and she was super busy with the show, so I ended up doing some rewrite passes on it, which my writing process is a pot of coffee and listening to the Social Network soundtrack on repeat.
That is like the
No
only
matter-
thing he wants
it's
to listen
weird.
to ever. I'm
I've-
like, can you just change it, please?
I've tried other
You
soundtracks.
can't.
I can't.
You figured out what works.
Because what it is if it can make Jesse Eisenberg writing code for Facebook interesting, it makes me focus and just I'm like a machine and I go and then it's really probably unhealthy the amount of coffee and
Yeah.
lack of food that I have during the
Yes,
process.
he forgets to eat when he writes.
I don't
I'm like,
function
did you
as a
eat
human
dinner?
being.
No.
I just am like, honey, I wrote 30 pages today. And she's like, that's good, but have you used the restroom or eaten food or taken our dog out?
No.
One of those 3 was accomplished. I don't remember which.
I also started the Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
But back to the
But back to
question
the story.
at hand
Yes.
is basically we just put it out there that we were like, okay, let's get this done.
Yeah.
And it was just Ben posted and
Yeah, I happen
he
to post
said,
on
he likes to be
Facebook.
accountable for things, and that's
Yeah.
how we both are. We're Capricorn, so we're like, okay, we did this, check that off the list.
So I posted not to in a bragging way at all. It was
No.
just to be like excited we finished the 3rd draft of our horror comedy, and I just do that sometimes so that it makes people aware that I'm working on something.
Sure.
So that if somebody asks me, 6 months haven't gone by and I haven't done anything on it because now I'm accountable. And
Right.
Andy, who ended up directing it, called me up and was like, "What's the budget and what's the pitch?" And I told him what it was and sent it to him that night.
And they said they may have an investor interested. And Andy is a friend of ours, but
Yeah.
I also worked with them on a
Andy
little
and
indie.
Warner on Warner produced it and
yeah.
Andy directed it.
On a little indie film called Awaken a few years ago, and then we brought them back to help us with a web series that I had written called Clueless, and Andy directed a couple of those episodes. So we've always stayed in touch with them, and you know they're very young and like hungry like we
Yeah.
are. Only
Yeah.
they're on the producing side, we're on the acting side and writing side. So when Ben posted that, they were just like, "Well, what do you have? Send it to us." And so we sent it,
And it was optioned by Thanksgiving, sold by January. We were in pre-production,
Pre-production.
and then shooting March 25th to April 19th.
And we flew
then-
to Ohio to do it.
It's
so
out
it
in
wasn't one of those
theaters.
things where it's like, hey, let's go make
Yeah.
a movie tomorrow.
No.
We have to fly to Ohio.
Middletown,
Ohio. Pack a bag for 5 weeks.
Lovely
mind you.
people there, nothing to do there. Our hotel was in a Walmart parking lot, and there was an Applebee's and a Cracker Barrel. And
But we had Misty.
it was fantastic.
What more could you want?
Misty was great. Misty was one of the hotel lobby people. She was
She
awesome.
did everything for us. I
She did
think she
everything.
started to resent us, though. She was just
No,
like,
not at all. Misty loved us.
oh my
She would
God.
get us food
I don't
all
know.
the
Some of
time.
the
She
things
would-
that the guys made her do, though.
Oh, that sounds weird.
Okay,
out of
that
context.
didn't mean it in that way.
Out of context, that sounds.
Truth bomb.
I meant it like running errands. Like that she became like an assistant
You're
for
like, hey,
them.
can you go buy beer at Walmart?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't do that. Yeah, it was a blast. It was so much fun.
But yeah, that's kind of how we got this film made. It was one of those things. But Ben and I also, like I said, we've collaborated since we've been together, and we
Almost
just,
9 years
no
now.
matter what. I mean, especially once you have a wedding, you're like, oh wow, that's
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, if we can produce a wedding during one of the most stressful times of your life, then we can produce a film.
Yeah,
I think
and
we
bring
can.
it
I think,
on.
I think we can handle
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where even if this didn't transpire, I know that we
Something
would
would
have
have happened.
something would have
Yeah.
happened because we're very much like, all right, take the bull by its horns and let's make something happen.
Yeah.
I like that.
And that's what you have to do. If you want to have a career, you have to make it for yourself.
And I think that we got this deal with AMC Independent because they liked the movie a lot, and they wanted to put it out in theaters, and so we got 20 theaters nationwide. And we're doing some deal.
There's deals happening, but they haven't really told us because
it's all secret.
Being that we wrote it and acted, we don't have the rights to know exactly what.
Well, it's not that we don't have the rights to know. We're just going on a lot of shows, and I may accidentally say it. It's probably what it is.
No,
so, before all the red tape,
we're not allowed to find all of the details. Basically, they've been very nice to us since we are friends, and they've told us things, but that's not in the contract. They don't have to tell us those things. They're just saying, hey, guess what? This is what's going on.
They've been very inclusive. It's been cool.
So we're there's specifics that I'm sure we haven't really heard yet.
But soon there shall be some
That's amazing,
Blu-ray
though.
and DVD release info.
I love hearing the bull by the horns thing.
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's like a lot of people don't see that process on screen.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it takes, I feel, to make a successful project. And I also love that you sent it to somebody you worked with before, you enjoyed working with.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about in this industry, especially, is like keeping in good contact and relationships with people.
Right.
You never know the person that you met 6 years ago that was a PA that could now be a producer. You have no idea.
Every job I've ever booked that's been awesome has been from some random connection years prior. I did this stint on ABC for ABC.comedy. I did like a year on there. And it was because my buddy Ricardo Martinez, who's a producer over there, did stand-up with me years ago. And now I'm on Guilty Movie Pleasures here on Popcorn Talk because Josh McCouga and I did stand-up years ago. And it's just random how it goes two ways, where the longer you're here, the more network you have, but also just to remember to be a good person to people and not burn any bridges, and just, you never know. And I think that for us, it was that we've both booked things like commercials and little guest stars here and there, or co-stars, and we were getting jobs and paying the bills, but never.
It's like one day of work, and then you leave, and you're like, oh, I want to be what that person's doing, where they get to go every day and have a character.
It's not as fulfilling creatively.
You're just helping
get
the story. You're getting the story, helping it move along. But
so we wrote something that was, that we would want to play in, that we would want to go for 20 days and shoot, and it was a blast.
We wanted it longer.
A dream come true.
We were like, what? 20 days?
I wanted 30 days.
Come on, let's go away.
But the budget would not
in
allow
Middletown.
it.
Next time, Hawaii.
Where was it? Middletown, Ohio?
Middletown, Ohio, which is literally middle of nowhere.
Say there's somebody, 18-year-old kid in Middletown, Ohio. He wants to do what you guys are doing. Can he do it there? How does he do it there?
I don't know if you could do it. There is a crew. There's a crew in Ohio and everything.
There are crews. Ohio has a big film commission going on right now, and
their tax
no
rebates
matter
and
where
everything.
you're at, you can make something happen. You don't have to be in Hollywood. If you believe in yourself and have an idea, ideas can turn into anything. And so as long as you if you have a story, develop that story, work on that story, and then once that story is fulfilled and it's on a page, then go to the next step. The thing is that I think people jump ahead.
Yep.
They're like, I have this idea. Oh, I need someone and I need this person. It's like, wait, you got to do all these other little steps before you can go.
Well, and also you have to get the right people who can fill the gaps that you can't do. Like,
right.
Renee and I are actors and writers, but we're not necessarily directors. We're not necessarily any of that other stuff. So we needed people to fill in the gaps. And just like even Andy, when he first came on, he's like, I'm more of a comedy guy. I need somebody to fill in the gaps for the gore and the horror stuff. And then we got Robert Kurtzman on board, who's a special effects makeup guru, who's like one of the best.
Been around forever. And he's in Ohio.
He designed the original Freddy Krueger mask, and he did From Dusk Till Dawn, all this crazy stuff. He's amazing. And so when he jumped on board, we're like, the gore is handled. It's going to be awesome. And that's some of my favorite stuff about the movie, is how great the gore looks, because House, Becky, and Barry, who were the Robert Kurtzman's creature corpse that was on the ground, they design it in his studio or whatever, and then bring it on the ground to the set. And man, the stuff they would do in such limited time looks awesome. They had so little time, and they were just coming up with the craziest things, and every gag looks great, and we're so pumped.
I
and so
always
excited.
wanted more blood. I was like, more blood.
Oh,
And then once you add the blood on,
they
you're
were
like,
always
oh,
down.
it's really sticky. That was a terrible idea.
They were
Why
like,
did
you
I
want
say
more
that?
blood? You got it.
Yeah. They loved every
So
take,
great.
just splash it on.
I'm wondering if you guys don't mind speaking to your process together as writers.
Yeah.
Is there tension there sometimes because you are together? Is it something that drives you guys crazy? Do you love doing it?
It's
what
a little
are the
bit of
positives
both.
and negatives?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think this was a learning lesson for us because we'd never really written a feature together before.
Yeah.
And so this
It's all
one,
been short story stuff.
this one we outlined the entire story together, and then she was busy doing a show that she was working on. She does a live murder mystery show in
So I was
Hollywood.
I was writing that with my other co-writer. So
Yeah.
that was one of those things where we had the story developed, the characters completely developed, and then Ben would take the story and he'd go and lock himself away for about 8 hours.
I had nothing going on at the time. So I was like, well, while you're doing that because you're busy, I'm going to just write for 8 hours today and see what happens. And then but what we learned is then she would give me notes and we were we were on the same page about guiding the story the whole time. But for the next projects we work on, we're going to try a different way where I write a couple scenes, she writes a couple scenes, and we trade and then rewrite each other's scenes. And I think that'll be cool. I'm excited about that, so that it's even more not interactive. It's even more of a team effort than just me going, I did this, here, read it. And you're like, what? How did you finish that already? I'm like, sorry, I had nothing going on today.
And I was like, oh, glad I could help with that scene. Awesome.
So I got a little control freaky on this one. I was like, don't worry, I took care of it, But I've learned from that, and it's something where like Renee's writing a romantic comedy right now that she wrote completely on her own.
Well, I also though with things that we write, we also give each other a lot of notes, and so like with the feature film that I just wrote. It's like Ben will come in.
I gave her a
and
mind melting.
It's like red, and I'm like sitting there reading like, oh my god.
I walked in when she was rewriting, and she's like, what? Now it's like 110 pages.
Yeah, I was like, it went from like a 90 page to like 120. I'm like, no,
fine.
I'm supposed to cut
worry.
down. Now you're making me add more.
Don't
but
worry.
I think everything is different. It depends on what you're working on and where you're at during the time of year that you're writing. So as long as you have open communication, I think that's what we did not have.
Yeah, the first time I just kind of locked myself.
He was just like, okay, I'm gonna go write. I'm
see
like,
wait, here's 60 pages. What? I thought you were gonna do like
what
10.
Happened?
Yeah.
The social network.
It just
I'm sorry.
going.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But we look at ourselves as a creative team more than anything, because the second you say writing duo in Hollywood, they go, oh, that's all you are. You can just write together and nothing else. But we're a creative team where
we're creating things, we're producing things, we're not always in certain things together.
She's writing 2 scripts right now, the romantic comedy and then a kind of cool female-driven thriller. I have 2 horror comedies and an action comedy that I've written separately. But we always give each other notes. We're always very supportive. So we look at ourselves as a creative team, and then we dabble together writing, and then we split off because it's just easier that way to not get pigeonholed. Because Hollywood likes to just think of things in one way. Yeah, like you guys are the Coen brothers. That's it. Not that we're the Coen brothers by any means.
And everybody talks exactly like that.
Right. Yeah.
You did a good job, kid.
You got moxie, kid.
You did good, kid.
That was the smallest cigar ever.
It was a joint.
Moxie.
Smoking a doobie.
That's what they do now.
Yeah, that is true. We are a creative team, and that's like we did a sketch comedy way back when. That's where we first started.
Dingus Khan was our
we had
comedy
sketch comedians, and we would
Jesse
do
McIntosh and Andrea Hopkins. Shout out to them.
Hi-yo.
Hey, and we did live shows with them. We would do, and it would be like a variety act. So we invited stand-up comedians and musicians, and so we started there because Ben and I are just artists, which is kind of cheesy to say, but we're just
totally artists.
We just want to create art.
We're just real bohemian,
and
that's when all of the people stop chatting.
Yeah, and we're getting off. Signing off.
Fuck these
goodbye.
pretentious guys.
But it's true. Like we're kind of artsy, and it's fun to be around people that just want to create, and so that's what we try to surround ourselves with: are people that just want to do things.
We never wanted to be those.
I think that's great.
We never wanted to be those actors that are like, we're not
We're
getting.
waiting for that next big thing.
Why does my agent suck? And it's like, I'm not getting auditions. It's like, well, do something.
Yeah.
Like, fill your time with. You can get a DSLR for like $800 or whatever, or you have a friend that has one.
A phone.
iPhone, exactly.
There's a movie shot. Yeah, the movie that was shot on an iPhone 6 or whatever.
Just make things.
Make something.
Do things.
Because I'll tell you what, the first couple gigs that I ever booked were because of a sketch I had done where they were like, I saw that random sketch, and I was like, really? That wasn't even one of the funny ones. And they're like, no, I liked it. And so you got to just keep putting yourself out there. Because
I think that's great, because I think 9 times out of 10, the case seems to be that it's the bits that people see of you are the ones you didn't even think people would ever see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And those are the ones that are insanely creative to begin with.
Yeah.
And there's something about, in my opinion, knowing that there's probably nobody watching that just like gives you all kinds of freedom.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's like, holy crap, That's where it's,
It's
at.
true.
Yeah.
The minute you have the eyes on you, you're like, oh.
Yeah, well, because
can't.
and that's also where you grow as an artist in whatever field you're in. It's like dance like no one's watching. You know, it's,
Yeah.
if you're
Right.
doing a sketch and you're like, I'll get maybe 500 views. Who gives a shit? It's like, but if you go out on a limb a little bit more, some of our sketches are out there. Like,
Yeah.
we have one called a Valentine's Day foot fetish.
The things we made our
which is
friends do,
hilarious.
too.
Yes.
Because we had our friends over for dinner occasionally. They were our neighbors. And we'd be like, hey,
They're
guys,
not
you
even,
want
they're
to
not even
make a
actors.
sketch? And
They're
they're
not even
like,
actors, and we just dragged them into these
poor
sketches.
Amy and Ozzy.
They're fantastic
They
friends
moved
of ours.
away.
The premise of that
Probably
one
'cause of
was these two couples were sitting at a table, and the two guys start playing footsie with what they think is their wives or girlfriends underneath the table, and it's their feet.
Oh my God,
And
that's
we
great.
And then the
we
feet
cut
get really romantic with
like
each
we have
other.
a candle that shows up underneath there, and the foot like delicately pulls the other sock off, so it becomes like an 80s cheesy sex scene.
That's amazing.
And then at the very end, they realize, and we do like a Psycho 3 cut to, and then they're like, I don't want to spoil a reveal at the end, just in case.
Watch the foot fetish, guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, we just try to go out on a limb and have fun. There's a character I do called Stephen Mortimer I used to do, who was this conspiracy theorist who based his fear of 2012 and the apocalypse off
Yeah.
of Roland Emmerich's film only and no actual Mayan relevance at all. And I used to go to comic book conventions and interview cosplayers like that. And I talked to Kevin Smith in front of 4,000 people at Hall H as Stephen Mortimer. I was like, how would you save us from the 2012 apocalypse, Kevin? And I was like, and will you be my friend? And he riffed with me, and it was a blast. But it was because I didn't care, because I was
Yeah.
like, no one's watching this.
Yeah.
And then this audition I had yesterday, they were like, do you do an apocalypse character? And I was like, how have you seen that?
Someone does watch this.
How did you see that? Anyways.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. So this obviously
We
said-
ramble a lot.
Yeah,
I
Sorry.
love it though. No, it's fascinating. I love that's a story I like to hear. You
Yeah.
know,
Our
little
conversations when you
tidbits.
come over our house are 5 hours long. You could ask our friends. They'll come over and we're like, why do we need to watch a movie? Let's just talk.
Yeah.
And there's
Oh,
the
man.
tiny cigar.
Yeah.
Always.
You see?
Welcome to the house. Foot fetish time. Give me your guys' favorite slash movie.
Everybody keeps
Favorite
asking
slash.
us so
I have
hard.
mine.
I know
I
you've
have
probably
mine.
been asked this 1,000 times, but I
Slash.
have
I have
to
mine.
know.
Do you want me to go so you can build up to
Yeah.
it? I have two.
Yeah.
Actually, technically three.
Okay,
My
no,
three-
he's gonna give you
Three?
5.
You're gonna give me like an IMDb top 200 list.
my
right?
three favorite slasher films for different reasons.
Okay.
Halloween, because Michael Myers still to this day scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first ones I saw that genuinely terrified
And
me.
at Universal Horror Nights, that was a great
maze.
Did you go
Yes,
through that one?
yes.
Oh, it was
Keep thinking of your
fantastic.
slashers. I'm going to go down my list of three. So then Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Because Freddy Krueger is
You're, like,
awesome.
saying mine.
And you can see
Yeah.
it too. It's super funny and the kills are really imaginative and cool in those. I'll never forget the puppet vein the marionette
hated
one in the
that.
third
I
one.
hated that.
And then Scream, because Scream was actually the first scary movie I ever watched. I was a scaredy cat as a kid. I never watched scary movies. I was freaked out by them. When Scream came out, there was all that rumor that people were like vomiting in the theater and running out like Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, you know? And I watched it in broad daylight with like 8 of my friends, and still that opening 15 minutes scared the pants off of me. I was like, holy shit, this is terrifying. And then the rest of the movie, I realized I could laugh and be scared at the same time. And I really feel like that kind of shaped my idea of horror films. And that's what I've always kind of gravitated towards. And that's what the Funhouse to us
Yeah.
is. So
I love that energy, the scared, and
Yeah.
you want to laugh,
Yes.
but you're like,
Because-
"Ah."
yes.
It's kind of a nervous thing.
It's somebody said it recently. I forget, one of our friends was saying that being scared and laughing are almost the same thing, because you laugh because you're surprised.
I'm gonna
and
say
you
it was
jump.
Alex Bedria.
I think it was Alex Bedria, our friend Alex. Shout out to all our
He
friends
always,
tonight.
he always, he
Yo,
always
all our
has
friends
this-
giving you shouts out here on
Hey,
iTalk
hey,
Movies with.
hey.
Is it iTalk Movies with, or just shout out our friends night? It's like a rap. It's like the end of a rap song. Alex Bedria, where you at?
Hey.
Corey, we just keep shouting out. Anyways.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea that you get scared because you're surprised, and you
Yeah.
laugh because you're surprised by the joke. So it's a fine line between the two, and that's why it works well in horror films.
Yes.
But you're top one
No,
now.
he said
Top one.
He said 1.
I know.
Okay, but this
I
isn't
ruined it.
really
I
a
ruined everything.
slasher. But if we're gonna go like
Your
way
favorite
back,
horror film? Yeah, go. Yeah.
would be Poltergeist. That was definitely
Okay.
like growing up. That movie terrified me, but there also are moments where kind of like, oh my god, is this for real happening in this
Right.
film? You know, so
And it's got Mr. Grandpa Braverman
got
from.
Tangina.
It's got Grandpa Braverman from
I
Parenthood.
love him.
Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson's in it. I don't know.
Coach.
I grew up watching that movie. One of my best friends in Ohio, Avon Lakes, where I am from.
Shout it out.
Shout out to
Ohio.
Megan Gamina.
Avon
Her and
Lake in the
I
house.
grew up watching horror films. It was a really weird thing because as a little girl, like around 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Well, Megan's a year younger, so I was about 8. She's about 7. We'd go over to her dad's house. Her parents were divorced, and he would let us watch any movie we wanted, and we'd always end up watching horror
Way to
films.
throw him under the bus.
Frank
Yeah, what if he's listening right now? Frank from Ohio.
That was Frank Gamina from Avon Lake,
Give
Ohio.
everyone shout outs. But yeah, so we grew up watching all the different horror films, and I think for slasher though, I would have to say.
Yeah, talking to the mic.
I'm sorry. I would say.
It doesn't really matter. It's fine.
I'm gonna answer this question over here.
Michael Myers is pretty terrifying, and I love the slow creepy walk.
Yeah.
The slow creepy walk
Slow
makes
creepy
it.
walk,
Because
but
he is relentless.
that was definitely growing up. Poltergeist, and we would watch a lot of Halloween movies. So
I watched one when I was 5. I saw Gremlins.
Gremlins is scary.
I think
Freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
It's dark for
It is
They don't
dark.
make kids movies like that. I'm not that
Oh,
Gremlins
no.
is a kids movie, but
It looks like one on
we
the
were
cover,
Kids,
and
so we
then-
all watched it.
Yeah, it was one of those
Yeah.
moments where my parents got it. We're sitting down, they turn it on in like a couple minutes, and I go, "Oh God!"
what's the scariest moment for you? Because I have mine. Do you remember?
I don't even know.
I remember specifically as a child when Phoebe Cates tells the story of her dad dressing up as Santa and sneaking down the chimney, and they didn't realize he was in there until they smelled the burning and the rotting of it because he had got stuck and they had lit him on fire. And I was like, that is so dark. Because she's like, Christmas is a depressing time of year. There's more suicides than any other time of the year. And then she goes into that. And as a child, I'm like, I don't ever want my
wait
dad
a
to dress
second.
up as Santa. I hope Santa doesn't
God.
don't light the fire on Christmas Eve. It was dark.
That was like that creepy.
And the woman
what
on
was
the-
this Christmas one that we watched? The Tales from the Crypt, the Santa one.
Oh, the Santa
Remember how
killer one?
That was a
Ugh.
scary one.
What was it?
Tales from the Crypt.
There's a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Santa
I think
one.
Joe Dante directed that too, I think. Where there's a creepy Santa murderer going around, which to me was too realistic because that really happened.
Yeah.
No,
I guess
but
it
that was years
it happened
before.
20
What's
years
this one
later.
that's coming out? It's Krampus or Krampus?
Krampus looks
Krampus.
Which
Krampus-
again, walking through Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah. There's a
That
Krampus
was
section.
creepy.
Krampus is, I think, is about the evil Santa Claus that punishes the bad kid. If you're on the naughty list, Krampus comes for you.
Yeah.
It's a European legend. It's about Krampusnacht. It's the opposite of Santa.
Oh.
Mark coming in with saving me with the fact
It's a
checking.
I
fact
like
check
it.
from Mark. He writes.
Shout out to Mark in the booth with the fact check.
Shut out.
Checker.
Fact checker.
One of my all-time favorites is The Birds.
The birds. See, I've never seen the birds. Don't
I
I?
can't.
It
and we
teeters the line of
have-
like it's
The Burbs is
No, the
ridiculous.
birds. Wait, did you say the birds or the burbs?
The Birds.
With,
Oh, D. With a D?
Hitchcock.
The,
I thought you said the Burbs.
The Birds.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
With Courtney Gaines, yeah.
Yeah.
But the birds. When did you see the birds as a kid?
Yeah, as a kid.
And it freaked you out?
It did.
I don't think I saw
It-
the birds, actually.
There's one part in particular where there's a woman on the ground, facing the ground, and there's a bird just like
Yeah.
on her neck, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It is terrible because it teeters the line of this is not believable.
No.
But then you walk down the park and you see that pigeon looking at you
You're
the wrong
like,
way.
it's gonna happen.
And you're
see,
like,
I'm gonna
it's
get
coming
attacked.
at me.
It's gonna happen.
I get creeped out whenever I see a gaggle of crows around. Crows always freak. Is gaggle the proper
I think
word
so.
for birds?
Sure.
Mark, you gotta.
What's that?
It's literally called a murder of crows.
No, it's
a
not.
murder of
A
crows.
murder of crows.
A murder
Exactly.
of crows.
That's what makes it even creepier. That it would be called a group of crows is called a murder of crows. Crows are because they have such a Edgar Allan Poe. It has such a it feels
Yeah.
so gothic and
Very,
weird.
yeah,
does.
very dark.
They're creepy ass birds.
They are.
I don't
like
know.
'em.
I
Get
don't
'em
think
outta
I
here.
think I'm not really that scared of birds. I'm not gonna. But
I'm
I
not
also
a-
didn't see the movie, so it probably would.
I mean, I'm not afraid of
change
birds,
me.
guys. I'm not afraid of birds or anything. Just
yeah,
crows.
I think you are.
Just
I
crows.
think you're admitting
There's a
it.
difference. Puts on the headphones, listens to Social Network, plug back in. Da-na-na. That is a fantastic soundtrack. Well, anyway, so thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
This has been a lot of fun. I could talk to you guys forever. Again, the movie is The Funhouse Massacre. Comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
13th.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
What are you gonna do on Friday the 13th? You're gonna see our movie. That's
Yeah,
what you're
I'm
doing.
going to go see this tomorrow at
Cool.
Universal
Yeah,
City
come
Walk.
on by.
Yeah, we'll be there.
The AMC.
7:15 showing. We'll
Are you
be
gonna be there?
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
So
so
if you
much.
wanna
Why
come
don't
say hi,
Tell
come-
the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you go ahead, man.
At Renee Dorian on all the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook thingies.
tweeties.
The tweety thingies.
The tweety
MySpace.
MySpace, guys. I'm on a MySpace. Yeah, at Renee Dorian. That's how you can find me.
I'm at the Ben Begley, and also our movie is at Funhouse Mass, which sounds like it's just a carnival
Fun church.
but no, it's Twitter has a character limit, so it's at Funhouse Mass, and the website is funhousemassacremovie.com, where you can check your local listings. It's in 20 theaters nationwide in select AMCs, and if you go, it'll just keep catching fire. So if you like it, tweet hashtag Funhouse
Please
Massacre.
share it with everyone,
Please.
and yeah, do a Twitter so we can actually see
Yes.
it after you see
Send
it.
us a selfie. If you see
Selfie. We
it,
wanna
send us a
see it.
selfie of your,
Let us know what you think.
feelings
That's
of
how
it.
we
Do a
review.
normal face. Don't do the
Do-
face been pulled off selfie.
If any of you can
That's
rip your face
terrifying.
off in
I
a
was like,
selfie,
is that
don't
a-
do
is
that.
that
Don't
a
take a
new look?
selfie if
No
that
one,
happens.
please, no one rip your
Oh,
face off for a
God.
selfie.
Don't do anything that is happening in this movie.
As impressive as
Even
that
though
would
it's
be.
about violence, we do not
condone it.
violence.
All
like
right,
peace.
everybody. I am Cameron Lewis. Thanks so much for joining us at The Only Cam Show, Twitter and Instagram. Thanks again, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.